Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to be responding to a person who is regretting leaving a job that allowed them to accumulate a good amount of time off, but they left that job due to it being a toxic environment. They're going to expand their families at some point in the near future, so not having that time off might pose an issue for them at some point, but let's just go ahead and get into what they have to say. So they start off with giving us a little background. They say, I've been working for the school district in my county for 3 years, and I had built up quite a bit of time off before I found out I was pregnant last August. This was great because our accumulated time is what we use to take some sort of maternity leave, but my supervisor forced me to take FMLA 3 months early, successfully eating up my hours by the time I returned to work. I literally had to take this issue to the EEOC, but that's a long story. 2 months ago, I got a new position in the local high school, and it basically stripped me of my ability to accumulate annual time. This becomes a problem because my husband and I planned on having another baby around the time my daughter turns 2 in April 2022, but I'll never have the ability to get that time again like I did. I'm incredibly thankful to the principal here for taking a chance on me and giving me a way out of the incredibly toxic work environment I was in. But what do I do about my guilty feelings about wanting to find something in my degree field, which is human resources? The chances of getting a human resources job in this market is slim to none, but I just feel bad for thinking about leaving a good opportunity already just because the school district is corrupt. Well, I can definitely understand your predicament, but try not to overthink it too much. I mean, it's natural to try to prioritize something that you're passionate about and you've already put some work into pursuing. But regret or guilt is just a regular companion on whatever road you decide to take. You know, you're always going to have some sort of that sort of thought about what if or what would have been. So, I mean, that's natural. So don't feel too bad about having those feelings. But there are a couple of things I noticed. First, you're not having or planning on having another baby for, 2 years or so. So who knows what can happen from here until then. As of right now, it's all just a plan. You could end up having a baby earlier or later than you wanted. So trying to plan out a job around it may end up just being more frustrating to you as you kind of dwell on it. If there's one thing I've learned when working with people who have kids or are planning on having kids, is kids don't care about your work plans or not. They get sick, they get hurt, they're born when they're ready to be born. You don't have a say in any of that kind of stuff, really. And life just has a funny way of reminding us of that. So try not to bet too much on bet against, or putting some stock on when you want things to happen. It's always nice to have things happen when we want them to happen, but it doesn't always happen that way. So again, that's another reason why I don't think you should feel any sort of regret, because you just don't know what the future is going to hold. And you said it yourself, the chances of getting a job in HR is slim to none. I don't know why you think that. Maybe it's just because you've been out of that field for a while, or just there's not a lot of jobs that you're finding. But, in a way, you're kind of admitting to yourself that it's kind of a fool's errand to think about that path. So why not listen to your own advice? But since you're an HR person, kind of put yourself in the other chair. Imagine a staff member comes in to meet with you and says, I'm looking to have a child in the next couple of years. What do you think I can do to prepare in terms of, making sure I'm ready from, what kind of policies does work have? What kind of leave do we have? What should I need to know? If somebody was asking you those questions, how would you advise them? You're an HR person, so kind of put your HR hat on for a second and think of it from the other side. And as an HR professional, you kind of know how the typical leave is for most places. So if you were to go into the private sector, would you get much better opportunities for time off than you do at the school district? In my experience, most places seem to be pretty standard, whereas, government, education, that kind of, field, that sector tends to be more generous than the private sector in terms of leave and maternity leave and all that stuff. So, kind of think about, if you did go into HR and you ended up in the private sector, what kind of leave you would have, what would you be looking at? Try to look at the other road you could go down. Let's say you take that job in HR. There's no guarantee that you're not going to end up in another toxic environment. Maybe you'll like the environment, but the leave is even worse than you had at the school district. Then what do you do? And finally, this is something that everyone kind of needs to think about, and it's sort of a taboo subject, but you kind of got to think about what your primary focus is going to be. Your plan is to have a baby in 2 years, but is it possible for you to work where you are for a couple of years in an environment that you like and then stay home for a bit when your baby is born, or maybe your husband stays home? Just thinking of all the options you can have, because this whole concept of trying to have it all is what causes people to have a lot of frustration. They want their dream job, they want the family they've always wanted, and everything else they've wanted in life, and you can't have it all. And there's an old saying that I really like, and the saying is, there's always something you have to give up if you want everything. So for you, you have to think about, what are you willing to give up? It might be that HR job, but you're also going to be able to go to work and not be stressed out, and you'll be working for somebody you like, that principle. So you really can't put a price on that. So those are just some thoughts. In essence, I don't think you should really feel guilty about anything. Your path brought you somewhere else. Imagine if you had stayed in that job and you were still accumulating hours, but you hated every day you had to go to work. What would that do for your relationship with your husband, your daughter, and your new baby? How much more stress would you have to deal with? Sure, you're on leave for longer, but the whole time, think about that. You're on leave, you're dreading going back to your job because you absolutely hate it, and it just makes you more and more anxious every single day. Then you might feel guilty about not being a good mom or wife because you're always a wreck thinking about that job you hate. But just try this. Write out all the things that you enjoy about your new job and all the things you hated about your old job. And I bet after one look at that list, you aren't going to feel guilty anymore. Anyways, I hope this helps a little bit, but you made a good decision, and you made a decision, and, you have to support your decision, be confident in your decision. Don't feel guilty about leaving a bad situation. The alternative might have been a lot worse, and then you'd feel really bad for not leaving. But anyways, if you'd like to speak with me further, just let me know. I'm always willing to listen. And if you like this video, please give me a like or subscribe or share the video. And in any case, take care and good luck to you.